Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. First of all, a little bit of a complaint and a little bit of an apology. First of all, some people commented about the quality of the sound in my last couple of videos. Well, you know, you can make your complaints if you want. Why don't you write to Which magazine, or why don't you ring in to a radio phone-in program? Why don't you phone James O'Brien on LBC or something and complain about the quality of Julian's audio? And the second thing is an apology. I'm sorry that the quality of my audio has not been up to the standard that you guys have been used to. There is a reason for it, actually. I've been experimenting with a couple of different microphones and couple of different sound setups, and the fact is I'm not really an expert, so I haven't done a great job about it. So there you are. Apology accepted. Thank you very much. Complaints, well, if you've got to make them, you've got to make them. So, by the way, I'm quite grateful for the complaints because it shows you're paying attention. Yes, as my friend Oscar Wilde used to say, the only thing worse than people not talking about you, or rather the only thing worse than people talking about you, is people not talking about you. So thank you very much. So what are we doing today? Well, I thought I'd do, because somebody else commented on one of my videos about something that I did that contravened the rules of the Velominati, or whoever it is. What is that noise? It's either a dive bomber, a Stuka dive bomber, or is it a helicopter, or is it a couple of airplanes from the Queen's flight, or is it the Battle of Britain that's being relived above my head? Anyway, I apologise for all that noise of the aircraft dogfighting above my head. What are we talking about? Yes. Somebody commented on the rules of the Velominati, and I said I shit on the rules of the Velominati because I think rules in cycling, it's just, you know, it's OCD. It's what somebody very dear to my acquaintance would call a pile of wank. And there you are. I'm going to have to set the no kids please to watch this video because I use some bad language. So I thought what I'd do is Jules Rules. Yes, a nice little bit of alliteration there, don't you think? Jules Rules. So does Jules have some rules to do with cycling? Well, what do you think? Of course he does. And I'm going to regale you with them right now. And the first rule, of course, there are no rules. You can do what you want. I couldn't care less what you do. You know my mantra, nobody cares. If you want to do this, do it. If you want to do that, do it. If you don't want to do this, don't do it. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. So there you are. That's rule number one. There is no rule. Rule number two, see, rule number one. No. Rule number two is use the gears you want. Right, you don't have to, I've got to use a 52-36, I've got to use a 53-39, or people are going to think I'm a useless cyclist. Oh, Julian, you're in your granny gear again. I couldn't care less. If you want to use a 20 on the front and a 50 on the back, do so. If you want to use a 50 on the front and a 20 on the back, do so. It's up to you. We must all make our own decisions in life. We must all make our own choices. And as I always say in one of my favourite sayings, and yes, it'll be on a t-shirt very soon, if my son ever gets around to doing the design, and that is, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Rule number 3. Disc brakes are better. I'm sorry, I've said it. All this save the rim brake. Don't save the fucking rim brake. Disc brakes are better. They're more effective. The modulation is better. They're more effective. They're stronger. They work better in the wet. You don't have that juddering wheel syndrome. You just don't have all the problems that you have with rim brakes. Get yourself some disc brakes. And some people used to say, oh, well, it doesn't look like a real bike. It doesn't look like what Fausto Coppi rode, or it doesn't look like what Bernard Eno rode, or whatever. Who cares? If they had disc brakes, they would have used them. Believe me, disc brakes are better. Just listen to your Uncle Julian. Rule number 4, is it rule number 4 or 5? I've forgotten already. Always acknowledge other riders. If there's one thing that gets right up my nose, it's when you're riding along and you pass some other riders and they just blank you. Or they come up behind you and they ride past them and they just blank you. And I normally call after them, hello, and I say, see, it wasn't that hard, was it? I mean, why just you can do a nod, you can do a wave, you can do a finger if it's and that's for car drivers. Just acknowledge other drivers. You know, we are a community of cyclists on the road. We share a passion. So if you recognise somebody else who's riding their bike, having a good time, just acknowledge them, wave at them, make a sign, indicate that the knights of the road and the knightesses. Knights were mostly men, weren't they? I suppose women weren't allowed to be knights in those days. Ladies were damsels. Well, why couldn't they have been knights? I don't know. Anyway, so the knights and the knightesses of the road, just acknowledge them, and don't do that thing where, oh, I'm a roadie, so I don't acknowledge anyone on a mountain bike, or I don't acknowledge anyone on a hybrid, or I don't acknowledge anyone who I sit up and beg. If they're a cyclist, just acknowledge them. Why not? Let's make the world a better place for all of us. Rule number 5, well, tubeless is shit. I mean, did you need me to tell you? Tubeless tyres are a pile of wank, right? They don't work. And please don't leave a comment down the bottom saying, oh, I've been using these tubeless tyres for 100 years and I've never had a puncture, and my grandfather used them at the Battle of Anzio and he never had a puncture, and we used them all the way through the trenches and we never had a puncture, and why don't you use this sealant? It's so much better. And if you only knew how to operate your tubeless tyres better, Julian, you would think differently about them. Please don't leave those comments. I couldn't care less what you think any more than you could care less what I think, but just take it from me, tubeless is shit. There you are. You don't even need a reason. Reasons. What are the reasons for reasons? You don't need a reason. Rule number 6: you don't have to go fast. You don't. If you want to go at a walking pace, go at a walking pace. If you want to poodle along, poodle along. If you want to go fast, go fast. If you want to go if you want to go there's Cat Stevens, isn't it? I can't remember the rest of it. But if you want to go fast on your bike, go fast. But you don't have to go fast. If you don't want to go fast, don't ride with people who are faster than you. Don't worry about it. Just go at your own pace. Life is too... I was going to say life is too short, but I'm 64, so I suppose I can't really say that. Life is too long, if you ask me. Life goes on forever, endless, day after day, into dreary nothingness of dribble and memory disrecall. Is that a word? Yeah, disrecall is when your memory goes. That's what happens to me. Now, tubeless is shit, and that means you're going to have tubes. And if you're going to have tubes, you're going to have to carry a spare. And if you carry a spare, take my advice and carry 2 spares. So rule number 6, always carry 2 tubes, because God is my uncle. If you have 1 puncture, you're going to have 2 punctures. Plus, you may see a knightess or a knight on the road and they need a tube. And there you are, you've got a tube, and they will thank you forever, even though they can never acknowledge it. Rule number 7, not everything was better in the old days. You always get these old cyclists. I don't mean people like me. I mean people who used to who cycled for many, many years. I mean, they're back in the cyclist touring club and they were cycling in the 1890s or whatever it is. And they say, well, yes, we didn't have carbon in those days. And we only had 4 gears, and we only had wooden pedals or wooden brakes or wooden saddles or whatever the fuck knows it was. But no, it wasn't. Things weren't better in the old days. Things were shit in the old days, right? Progress is wonderful. Progress is what the human race is about. If you want to go back and live in a cave with your 3-speed gears and your cloth bar tape, then go there. But if you want to live in the real world, you want to move with the times, you want to progress, then just take it from me. Things were not better in the old days, and I should know. I was there. Tea is better than coffee. There you are, I've said it. Cyclists always wang on about coffee, don't they? I watch all these YouTubers and they get given free coffee machines, and they go out for a ride and they take a little bit of film about them making a cup of coffee, and I think, oh, for fuck's sake, why don't you just fess up? Why don't you just be honest with people and say, actually, you prefer tea? You know, a nice cup of strong tea, bit of milk, couple of sugars. It's much better than pissing about with all this George Clooney nonsense with a frappe Americano, latte, oat milk, shite fest. Get off it. Coffee is crap, right? And coffee is grown by exploiting people in poor countries, whereas tea, of course, is not. Tea is grown by people in rich countries, so tea is better. Just take it from me. Most of the cycle nutrition that you buy, and this is specifically cycle nutrition, like gels and energy bars and stuff like that, it's overpriced crap, right? Go around your supermarket and just look for the flapjacks. They're a hell of a lot cheaper. Just look for the chewy bars with a bit of sugar in them, because cycle nutrition is about sugar basically, and that's the carbohydrate, that's the energy that keeps you going. So anything that's got sugar in it, plus get some natural stuff, get some nuts, get some dates, get some figs, get some I don't know, get yourself a handful of sugar. Get Haribo. Haribo is a natural food, right? It's grown organically, Haribo's, and then they put it into that organic twice used plastic bags. It's good for you. Haribo is good for you. It's one of the things that we've learned. Strava. You're going to be on Strava. Everybody's on Strava, and you know the old saying, if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. But you don't have to put your commute on Strava, okay? If you're doing a 2.5 mile commute, assuming you still go to it, assuming you've even got a job, let's face it, you don't have to put it on Strava, okay? There is, take it from me, you don't have to, right? There's no law that says you have to put it on commute. I mean, I do these poxy, silly little walks, and I put it on Strava, and I know that nobody cares. Everyone says, oh, look, Julian did a 2 mile walk and he gave it a silly name. Oh, isn't that interesting? I'll give it kudos. Oh, please keep the kudos going, don't get me wrong. But you don't have to put everything on Strava, right? You see people, they put something on Strava, they fell over when they went out of the house, and that's on Strava. It's like a 2-second segment, right? Now, you could say, well, if you don't want to look at it, Julian, don't look at it. Don't follow these people. Why are you so mean all the time? All I'm saying is, right, okay, Strava is for proper rides, okay? It's for proper cycling. It's for proper walking. It's for proper running. Can you put running on Strava? You ain't put anything on Strava. But don't put your commute on Strava. And the last rule, of course, and this is probably rule number 11, it may even be rule number 12, but it is the one rule to rule them all. Do you remember that dreadful series of films, The Lord of the Rings? I read The Hobbit when I was about 14, something like that, and I loved it. I didn't read The Lord of the Rings until later. I really didn't like The Lord of the Rings. And the thing is, plot spoiler here, guys. Sorry about this plot spoiler. There's 1,000 pages, right, or 19 hours of The Lord of the Rings, and what happens at the end, he finds the ring and he chucks it into the crack and But that's it, right? That's it. So you get to the end, right? You get to the end, you've read 1,000 pages, like you've read War and Peace. You get to the end, she dies in the battle. Or he dies in the battle, she dies of heartbreak or whatever it is. And that's what happens in The Lord of the Rings, right? They get to the end and he finds the ring and he throws it. And you've got to sit through these dreary battles with these orcs and goblins and dwarves and fairies and magicians and wizards and stuff. I'm getting off the subject a bit here, but the thing about The Lord of the Rings is I hated every fucking minute of it, and I sat through it all 19 hours of it. I binge watched it because I thought I had to. I was young in those days. I was about 47 or something like that, and it came out. I thought, oh, I've got to watch this. Everybody's talking about it, and I wish I was dead. Don't you remember Woody Allen? It's quite hard to quote Woody Allen these days, but somebody said to him, what would you do if you had your life over again? And he said, I'd do everything exactly the same, but I wouldn't read the makers. Now there's a sign of just how old I am, but just take it from me, right? If I had my life over again, I'd do everything exactly the same, but I wouldn't watch The Lord of the Rings. So there you are. Those are Julian's rules. Jules' rules. I'm sorry I went off on a bit of a tangent there and a bit of a mad rant, but well, anyway, that's what I do. I hope the sound quality is better. I hope this picture was all right. And just remember, my videos raise money for the Vine Food Bank, which is in Croydon in the United Kingdom. And if you like any of the stuff that I do, please please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get a bump on there. Please tell all your friends to watch my crummy videos. And I look forward to entertaining you more in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.